Joining us now from Los Angeles is Michael Waltz. He's a former federal prosecutor. Michael, thanks for joining us. You can provide a unique perspective because
Pleasure,
you're not only a former prosecutor, but you are also an elected official. So from a prosecutorial perspective, what jumped out at you today? And also, put on your political hat, what do you think is the most troubling aspect of all of this for the Trump administration?
Very good questions, Mike. And this is a very trying time, I think, for our nation. The vote is such a structural, integral part of our nation. There are millions of people that literally fought and died for us to have this privilege, and it's so tied to the kind of government and the kind of protection we have of our liberties. What struck me today first is how quickly all of the prosecutions were moving. The government has, in its eyes, the special prosecutor, people who may have crossed lines, and those lines include not only dealing with matters of compliance, but actual conveyance of monies that were then not reported properly. And the question is, in their pro-Kremlin stance and effort, what were they doing? Was it known to third parties? Nobody's indicting the President of the United States. Nobody is saying today at this station that the White House has any unclean hands. But if those people got so close to putting a president in office, and through the technology, through false media, and through other means, Russia had an effect on our election, that is sanctified territory, and we have to ferret this out fast.
Now, former Watergate prosecutor appearing on another network today said that the White House should be concerned most about George Papadopoulos because he could have been, and he says it is likely he has probably been wearing a wire for months. Talk to me about that. As a former prosecutor, this is probably standard operating procedure, one would think.
Indictments are leverage, and a person who pleads guilty may actually be given some form of immunity and then be able to help with the prosecution of a third party. I don't know whether or not there's any collusion or conspiracy, and Robert Mueller is a very seasoned federal law enforcement official. He knows how to leverage this. The question is here, should everybody go away for a period of time, and what is it that they did? There is obviously a question, and that's a question of fact, and we don't have all the forensics or the intelligence as to how they came to the conclusions that they came to today. Certainly this has great political effect on people's perceptions of what's happening when you attain such a high office, but we have to remember, and we have to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Now, why wouldn't they comply with documents? Why wouldn't they be reporting money? Why would somebody be helping the Kremlin and not be transparent when they're trying to help the highest office of our nation? All these questions need full vetting for American citizens to be assured that those that, again, have fought and died on the battlefield for the sacred one man, one vote can be assured that this election is proper. And certainly before the midterm elections, we need closure to make sure that our system is not going to be impaled or impacted by the Kremlin.
The White House says that Manafort these charges have nothing to do with the president, but he did, of course, Manafort sit in on this meeting in the Trump Tower in June of 2016, also attended by Jared Kushner, that Donald Trump Jr. arranged a meeting with Russians who were said to have damaging information on Hillary Clinton. So talk to me about that.
There's a very big difference in the world of politics, in the world of governance, and in the world of criminality. I'm a professor, an adjunct professor at Cardozo Law School in Manhattan. I'm happening to visit my office in LA now. But I teach aspiring lawyers to make sure that they understand the difference between an ethical breach, a criminal breach, and something that just doesn't smell right. Right now, America is watching as this whole matter unfolds and won't pass judgment at a later time. If somebody's in a meeting and nobody else in the room knows that that person has unclean hands, it's not fair to take issue with either the Kushner or the Trump family for that matter. On the other hand, if they should have known better, if nobody vetted the documents and they weren't in compliance, should they have been in the room in the first place? I think that we will take greater stock and pride in the administrative part of our government going forward, because all of these compliance documents, this whole process is there for us to find and ferret out impropriety. This is still too early for us to make any conclusions, but I'm glad the lights of the media are on top of everything.
All right, Michael Waltz, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us from Los Angeles. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.